What's going on? The NBA draft is in the books. It was pretty eventful last night. A lot of movement in the both rounds, first and second round. A couple of reaches, a couple of sleepers, a couple of guys who fell a little bit further than anyone might have thought. So today I'm going to go ahead and break down team by team, and I'm going to give each team grades for how I think they did in the NBA draft last night. So let's get it. We're just going to go alphabetical here. So starting off with the Atlanta Hawks. Their first pick, 6th overall, they selected Onyeka Okongwu out of USC. If you watched my video yesterday, he's one of the guys that I had some interest in the Cleveland Cavaliers drafting. He's a really good rebounder. He was a force on those Chino Hills teams when he played with LaMelo and Lonzo Ball. Good interior defender, and he can also switch onto some perimeter guards, which is key in today's NBA. You have to be able to do that. So I like that pick a lot for the Hawks. Their second pick was Skylar Mays, a guard out of LSU. I don't know a whole lot about him, but his name is pretty close to Taylor Mays, who was a badass free safety for USC back in the day. So that's a plus for him. So overall, I'm going to give the Atlanta Hawks a grade of a B+, and I think they've got a pretty good young core going into the 2020 season. Boston Celtics. First pick was Aaron Nesmith, wing out of Vanderbilt. He has potential to be the very best shooter in this draft when we look back a couple years from now, and he's got some defensive potential as well. I like that pick a lot for Boston. I think he fits well with what they're trying to do there. Their next pick was Peyton Pritchard, guard out of Oregon. I'm not as big a fan of this pick. I think he's under-athletic. He doesn't wow. Nothing about his game really wows me. It's a total Boston Celtics pick, and it could work out, but it wasn't my favorite at the time. Their last pick was Yam Madar, the guard out of Israel. He was the second Israeli player taken in today's draft, or yesterday's draft. Denny Avdija. Avdija was taken 9th overall by Washington. He could be really good if he spends some time overseas and refines his game. He's still young, and the Boston Celtics don't really have a need for a player like him right now. So I think this is a good sort of draft and stash pick. And overall, I'm going to give the Boston Celtics a B grade for their draft last night. The Nets didn't do a whole lot in last night's draft. They did acquire Landry Shamet from the Los Angeles Clippers. So they got another floor spacer, which is good for them out there with the guys like, KD, Kyrie. And, he could be a potential piece to move in a James Harden trade if that is still what they're trying to do. I guess we won't really know. But their only draft pick for the day was Reggie Perry, power forward out of Mississippi State. I think he's a potential steal. He can shoot a little bit from the outside. He's got good size. He only shot 32% from deep, but 77% from the free throw line is encouraging that he'll be able to improve his stroke as time goes on. So overall, I'm going to give the Brooklyn Nets a B-. They didn't have to do too much, and they didn't. So B- for last night's draft. The Charlotte Hornets may have had the best draft out of any team last night. They got LaMelo Ball 3rd overall. They're glad he fell. I think in a couple of years, we're going to look back, and LaMelo Ball might very well be the best player from this draft class. He's an immediate, just high IQ ball handler and spreader of the ball. Like he is going to find some guys. He's going to rack up assists over there. And he could be the best player out of this draft class if he gets that three-point stroke figured out fully. They also got Vernon Carey, the center out of Duke. Blue blood, that Duke, Coach K coaching him. He's very well coached, good fundamentals, good scorer inside, good rebounder, will play some defense. They drafted another blue blood and Nick Richards out of Kentucky, so John Calipari coached him. He's a great shot blocker. And then Grant Riller out of Charleston, who was one of the steals of the draft as well for sure. Very high IQ player and a phenomenal shooter. So overall, the Charlotte Hornets are getting an A+ for their efforts in last night's draft. Chicago Bulls surprised a lot of people last night when they took Patrick Williams at 4 overall. A lot of people thought that he could have fallen to them if they were wanting to trade back. A lot of teams did show a little more interest in him towards the draft last week, but Chicago made him their pick at number 4 overall, the small forward out of Florida State. Really good defender. has experience coming off the bench. He may have been a reach here, but if they got their guy, they got their guy. And their other pick was Marko Simonovic, center out of Serbia. Sort of in the Lauri Markkanen mold, which they've already gone that way in Chicago. He's a mobile big. He's a good shooter from the outside. Overall, I'm going to give the Chicago Bulls a C+ for their efforts last night. On to my Cleveland Cavaliers. I got my guy, Isaac Okoro, small forward out of Auburn. Best perimeter defender in this year's NBA draft. The concerns with him lie in his shot. Did not shoot it well from the three-point line last year at Auburn, only 28%. However, it's not for a poor stroke. His stroke looks fine. His shots come out a little flat sometimes, which is generally fixable. But even if it's not, he's a plug-and-play guy that's going to be the best defender on the team immediately. And he was my favorite pick for the Cavs in the draft, so I'm glad we got him. Overall, Cavs only had one pick, so it's hard to give them, an A. So I'll give them a B+ for their efforts for picking the right guy. Dallas went insanely guard heavy in last year's draft, as well as acquiring Josh Richardson from the Philadelphia 76ers. They moved Seth Curry over there, so guard for guard swap. In that case, I think Josh Richardson pairs really well on this team next to Luka and Porzingis. He's an athletic wing, can play some defense, hit some threes, throw up some posters every once in a while. They drafted Josh Green with their first pick out of Arizona, another shooting guard. Once again, pretty athletic, kind of in the Josh Richardson mold. I don't think he's as good of a shooter, but he'll work out well on that team, I think. Tyrell Terry was their next pick. He's going to play backup point guard. He'll back up Luka. He went to Stanford University, and I like that pick there. Gives them some depth, gives them some options off the bench. And the final pick was Tyler Bay, who's a shooting guard and a knockdown shooter out of Colorado. He's a Buffalo. So overall, I'll go ahead and give the Dallas Mavericks a B+ for last night's draft class. The Nuggets absolutely killed it in last night's draft. They got Zeke Naji out of Arizona. He's I could see him filling sort of Montrezl Harrell role for them. Very high energy, high effort on defense, good rebounder, just a really high motor, high character guy. So I like that pick a lot for them there. It gives them some depth in the front court. And their second pick was RJ Hampton, the guard out of New Zealand. And it's just another piece for a backcourt, which is already stacked. So the rich get richer there in Denver. I'm going to go ahead and give them an A- for last night. Detroit also had one of the better drafts last night. They got Killian Hayes with their first overall pick, which was the 7th overall pick, point guard out of France. He's going to be insane. The pick and roll with him and Blake Griffin is going to be absolutely disgusting, assuming Blake Griffin's able to stay healthy. I absolutely love that pick there. I think it's a perfect fit in Detroit, and I love it. Their next pick was Isaiah Stewart. I don't love this pick as much. I get why they got it. It's a depth piece, but there are better players available at his position when they picked him, in my opinion. So didn't love that pick, but that was their one sort of maybe questionable miss, in my opinion. Their next pick was Sadiq Bey, who I love, knockdown shooter, Villanova. He can guard multiple positions on the perimeter. I don't know if he'll be able to hold his own against power forwards and centers on the inside necessarily, but on the perimeter he can be a helpful addition defensively, and he's going to knock down some crazy shots for them. They got Saban Lee out of Vanderbilt, who's another a score-first bench guard. Almost could be looking at sort of like a Lou Williams type player, in my opinion. He's not going to do a ton of distributing, but he can come off the bench and get you some buckets when you need him. So overall, A for the Pistons. Really good job last night. Just awful news out of the Golden State Warriors camp before the draft yesterday. Now confirmed by Woj that Klay Thompson tore his right Achilles. He's going to miss the entire season. That is just a terrible blow for the team, for Klay, for the NBA, for the fans. This sucks. It sucks. Plain and simple. So I'm hoping that Klay is able to recover and get back to the absolute baller that we remember him as. It's going to be 2 years and we're not going to see him play at all. So, yeah, that sucks. But prayers up. Rooting for Klay big time. The Warriors did secure what could be a franchise centerpiece in James Wiseman, center out of Memphis. A lot of people, Warriors fans, after the Klay news hit, were thinking maybe LaMelo is the pick here at 2, but I think the Warriors made the right call. Though I do think LaMelo could be the best player in this draft, you've got to have a big man to succeed in the Western Conference right now. You've got to be able to go up against Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis. At a certain point, you're going to have to think Karl Anthony Towns is going to be in the equation there in the playoffs. So you need a big man, and James Wiseman's a good fit for the Warriors. Score from the outside, score from the inside, block some shots, play team ball. I like it. Nico Mannion was their next pick. He's a guy I really liked in high school a lot. His talent sort of dropped off a bit when he started playing against tougher competition in college in the Pac-12 at Arizona. I don't think he's athletic enough to play significant minutes in the NBA, and his shooting stroke needs work. But I'm rooting for the guy. He's a cool guy, cool player. I liked him in college, but I just don't know if he's got the athletic ability for the NBA. Justinian Jessup was their next pick out of Boise State. Draft and stash guy, really good shooter, fits the Warriors mold. I like that pick a lot. I'll go ahead and give the Warriors an A-, but the Klay news really sucks. So, A- for the Warriors. I do not love what the Houston Rockets did. I think they could have done a lot more last night. They did get Kenyon Martin Jr., an explosive forward, scorer, could be a good player. Went to IMG Academy for postgraduate stuff. I just think the Houston Rockets needed to do more last night, and they didn't. And so I'm going to give them a C- for their draft grade. Indiana Pacers also only had one selection last night. They got Cassius Stanley, the guard out of Duke. They got the best athlete in the draft, and I'm calling my shot right now. Cassius Stanley will be an NBA dunk contest champion sooner rather than later. Within the next 3 years, he'll be an NBA dunk contest champion in the NBA. On the court in games, I'm not sure how much he helps the Pacers right away, but he's athletic enough to pick it up defensively, and if he can figure out his shooting stroke, I think he can be a decent role player on a good team. So I'll give the Pacers a C+ for last night. Clippers decided to make a move for Luke Kennard. They traded Landry Shamet for Luke Kennard. I think they're very similar players, but I like Luke Kennard's fit in the Clippers next to PG and Kawhi Leonard. They only had one pick. They traded up to draft Jay Scrubb out of John A. Logan, shooting guard. If he's given time to grow, which he should because the Clippers have an offensive arsenal already, then I think he can be an NBA scorer at the next level. But yeah, the acquisition of Luke Kennard is nice. So overall, I'll go ahead and give them a B for last night. Los Angeles Lakers did absolutely nothing last night. They were in possession of the 28th pick. They traded it to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who took Jaden McDaniels there. We'll get to that pick later. But yeah, nothing applicable for the Lakers because they didn't make a single pick. They didn't acquire any players. So NA. The Memphis Grizzlies traded up to grab Desmond Bane at 30, a guard out of TCU. He's got good size, he's a good defender, pretty good shooter as well. He fits the old-time grit and grind mold of the Memphis Grizzlies. I like that pick a lot for them. And their next pick was Xavier Tillman out of Michigan State, which is cool because he was Jaren Jackson Jr.'s teammate in college there at Michigan State. And they've been reunited now on the Memphis Grizzlies. I like both picks. No splashes necessarily, but good solid picks. So I'll go ahead and give the Grizzlies a B for last night. The Miami Heat only made one pick, but it was a good one. Precious Achiuwa, center out of Memphis, got really good size, big man, off the bench energy. He will dunk on you. He is strong inside, strong underneath. He'll play some defense. He's a good addition to that Miami team, who didn't need to do much coming off of a finals run. So a B for the Miami Heat as well. The day kind of started off rough for the Milwaukee Bucks because their Bogdanovich trade with the Sacramento Kings fell through. Bogdan decided he never agreed to signing with the Milwaukee Bucks, so he's going to enter restricted free agency. That is a loss for the Milwaukee Bucks for sure. Their draft picks last night were Jordan Nwora, guard out of Louisville. Got experience. He should be NBA ready. He's a good shooter. And their other pick was Sam Merrill out of Utah State, who's kind of the same thing. Good shooter, NBA ready. He's already almost going to be 25 years old in May. So I don't love that necessarily, but it was late in the second round. In fact, he was the last pick of the second round. So no harm, no foul there. But the Bogdan thing is going to put them down to a C+ for yesterday. The Minnesota Timberwolves were all over the place. Handprints all over the draft last night. Obviously, they have the first overall pick. They selected Anthony Edwards, who was sort of the consensus first overall pick. If he ends up carrying, if he ends up really buying in, he's going to be really, really good. They got themselves a bucket getter, a guy who can score buckets in a hurry, score from the outside, score anywhere, dunk on you. He's going to be nasty if he cares. They acquired Ricky Rubio from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I like that. People were a little confused. It's an extra ball handler, takes some pressure off D'Angelo Russell. Maybe play him off the bench because Anthony Edwards is obviously there now. They also drafted Leandro Bolmero out of Argentina. He played in Spain. He's a forward, playmaking forward. I actually like this pick a lot for them as well because it can take some pressure once again off Karl Anthony Towns down low. Maybe let him play some high post a little bit. And then they got Jaden McDaniels, who was one of the best picks of the draft as well. Traded up with the Los Angeles Lakers to select him at 28. Crazy talented, can shoot, he's raw, he's athletic, can defend. Like McDaniels a lot. I was hoping the Cavs would make a move back up in the first round to grab him, but Minnesota did. They also got Daniel Oturu, a center out of Minnesota, so he's staying at home. Golden Gopher, he's good size, strong underneath. Move some people around, get some rebounds, get some blocks. Overall, really good draft for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll give them an A for their efforts. The New Orleans Pelicans only made one pick last night. I think it was a good one. They added some point guard depth to a team that already has a lot of point guard depth. They got Kyra Lewis, point guard out of Alabama. Good scorer, he's quick, extra passer, he's willing to play some defense. He looks like a good player, looks like he's NBA ready to me. And he's not going to have to carry too much of a load right away with Eric Bledsoe, Lonzo, other guys like that there. So good pick by the Pelicans. B+ overall for their efforts. New York Knicks. Stephen A. did not like this pick, and I didn't either necessarily. I will say they drafted Obi Toppin 8th overall, power forward out of Dayton. He's perfect for Madison Square Garden. He's from New York. It's a great story. The first time he throws down a windmill in the Garden, if there are fans there, it's going to be insane. It's a flashy pick. I think they could have gone Tyrese Halliburton here. I think that would have been just a phenomenal pick for them. I think he changes so much about that team. I don't necessarily think Obi Toppin is gonna be a good offensive player. I think I'm rooting for him. I like him a lot. I watched him in college a lot. If he figures out his stroke, that's awesome. But I think the pick should have been Halliburton here, personally. Their other pick was Emmanuel Quickley, a guard out of Kentucky. He can space the floor. I like that pick. He can hit from deep. And so overall, they got a couple guys that are going to be a crutch for that offense there in New York, which is good. They need that. I just wish they would have gone in a different direction for their first overall pick, but a B- for the Knicks for last night. The City Thunder acquired Al Horford, traded away Danny Green, acquired a first-round pick for it. So Presti's just racking up picks over there. It's kind of insane, but doing a good job. And their first pick was Alexei Pokusevski. I actually like this pick a lot. He is the potential unicorn out of this draft. Youngest player taken. He's only 18 years old still. 7 feet tall. Small frame. He's got to build it up a bit. But, I mean, he could, if anyone's going to be the Kristaps out of this draft, it's this guy here. So they don't need to rush him over, but I think he's going to be a good player there. They also drafted Theo Maledon, a point guard out of France, good size, experience. Has been playing professionally since he was 16 years old. Next pick was Vit Krejci, same thing. He's coming off a knee injury though. Once again, been playing professionally since he was 16 years old. He's more of a draft and stash, but a B- overall for the Thunder seems fair to me last night. I'm not as high on Cole Anthony as some people are. I've never seen it. Excuse me. I've never seen anything from him. I think he's a good scorer, great scorer at the college level. Who he reminds me of is Carson Edwards last year, who everyone was so high on for the Boston Celtics. Jury's still out on him. He could be a good player. But I'm not a massive Cole Anthony guy. I'm obviously rooting for him. I don't dislike the guy. I think he's a cool dude. Great interviews, both pre and post draft. Cool story, very cool story. I don't love this pick for the Orlando Magic though. I'm going to give them a C for this pick. They had a great night last night. They acquired Seth Curry. They got shooters. In Philadelphia. Seth Curry is going to cash out for them. They got rid of Al Horford, massive contract, huge win there. They got rid of Josh Richardson. So be it. First pick was Tyrese Maxey, point guard out of Kentucky. He's a willing defender, good at scoring by the basket. Needs to work on his shot. He could be another guy that doesn't wind up being a great shooter in the NBA, but he's a good scorer and a good defender. Our next pick was Isaiah Joe, who makes up for Maxey not being a great shooter by being one of the better shooters in this draft. Guard out of Arkansas, knockdown. They think he's an elite shooter. They think he's doesn't need any G League time, and he's going to come in right away for them. They also got Paul Reed out of DePaul, big man defender. That's basically his worth right now is as a defending big, defensive big, which is helpful. Got to have it in today's NBA. So overall, I'm going to give the Philadelphia 76ers an A for last night. I think Phoenix had the worst night out of anyone in the draft. I don't dislike Jalen Smith as a player. He's a power forward out of Maryland, can shoot, should be able to defend a little bit. However, I don't like where they picked him. If you had zeroed in on Jalen Smith as your guy, you could have gotten him in the 20s for sure. Could have traded back, acquired some more picks for later in the draft or future years. And also, I don't think that's really a need for the Phoenix Suns right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give them a D for last night. I think wasn't great. Not what I like to see. So, though the Trailblazers only technically made one pick last night, their first round pick this year was traded to the Houston Rockets for Robert Covington, which I think is a massive move for Portland. I like that move a lot for them. Just keep doing what they're doing with the guards that can shoot and play defense. I love that. And guess what they drafted? CJ Ellaby out of Washington State. Could be another Gary Trent. He got like that same sort of prototype going on for him. He's a little bit raw. He needs some work for sure, but if he realizes his potential, he's going to be a knockdown 3-and-D player in the NBA, which is, in today's NBA, very valuable. So B+ for Portland. Kings. The Sacramento Kings. Finally. The Sacramento Kings had the best draft of any team last night. I don't remember if that's ever happened before, but it did. Every pick was just spot on. They got the best pick of the draft at number 12 in Tyrese Halliburton, point guard out of Iowa State. He's going to be unreal. He fits perfectly next to De'Aaron Fox because his only concern is can he beat NBA defenders off the dribble? Not going to have to if you're playing next to the fastest guard in the NBA. So steal the draft there. He should have gone to the Knicks at 8. Instead, falls to the Kings at 12. Sacramento's stoked on that. Next pick was Robert Woodard, forward out of Mississippi State. Great shooter, great size. 6'7", 6'8" at the small forward position. Can play some guard too, guards and guard forwards as well. And their last pick, another sleeper, Jamius Ramsey, guard out of Texas Tech. Reminds me a lot of Devontae Graham. Can be a scoring guard off the bench at first. Just pile up buckets in a hurry. Yeah, I think the Sacramento Kings absolutely killed it. Nailed every single pick last night. A+. Go Kings. Well done. The Spurs made 2 picks, and they were both so Spurs. Devin Vassell, shooting guard, Florida State. Fits perfectly. Great wing shooter, great wing defender. Love that for them. Next pick, ton of experience. Trey Jones out of Duke. Super experienced once again. Willing team player, team defender, makes the extra pass, can knock it down from outside. Just very Spurs. In line with what they normally do. B+ for this. The Toronto Raptors took a couple flyers on some guards that are going to be rotational pieces last night. Malachi Flynn out of San Diego State. I like him. I don't love it. They're taking a flyer on what could be a backup guard for them, basically, which I have no problem with. Kyle Lowry's getting up there. Jalen Harris, same thing. Nevada Wolfpack. Once again, just more depth. So nothing flashy for the Raptors, but decent, solid picks. I think there were maybe some better guys available, but I would have liked to see Trey Jones actually end up here if you're looking for a backup point guard. But Toronto Raptors, C. Give them a C for last night. Udoka Azubuike out of Kansas was the first pick by the Utah Jazz last night. I like it a lot. Massive guy, huge force under the basket, both offensively and defensively. Elijah Hughes was their second pick out of Syracuse. He actually led the ACC in scoring last year. High character guy, super grateful to be drafted. Couple, once again, pretty solid picks for a Utah Jazz team that doesn't really need too much right now. So a B for the Utah Jazz. The Wizards had a good draft. I don't think anyone thought that Deni Avdija was going to fall to them, but he did, and the Wizards jumped on it. So they got the forward out of Israel to pair with highest drafted Israeli player ever, by the way. Play aside John Wall and Bradley Beal, Thomas Bryant, a couple of Rui Hachimura as well. That's pretty outstanding starting lineup if John Wall is anything close to what he once was. He's great. Avdija is a great passer, high IQ. He's got an improving three-point stroke. I think he's going to be able to shoot it at the next level. And then their other pick was Cassius Winston, point guard depth, Michigan State. Excellent player, very high IQ, can score the ball, good passer, will defend a little bit, should be a good team defender. So Washington, excellent night for the Washington Wizards. I'll give them an A-. That's going to conclude the video, conclude the grades. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you agree, if you disagree, have any kind of comments, and be looking for some more content coming up soon. Going to do some IRL basketball videos, some IRL football videos, and as well as the analysis stuff will be going on. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. See you.